Well, the biggest thing is the lack of certain appliances like dishwashers and washing machines and dryers and things like that. If Because there are some people who live there who are very rich, but the majority of people that we met lived in houses made of brick that they built themselves, either brick or aluminum sheets, or sometimes plastic. That's all they could afford. You know, I taught a lot of people who had big sticks stuck in the ground, went all the way up, and they just like staple or nail this really thick black tarp plastic to create 4 walls. And that was their shelter. And they had a bed and all their clothes and things all piled up in a corner. And so, you know, don't really have room for appliances or things like that. So, you know, lots of, you know, hand washing everything. Some rich people would have dryers. No, sorry, they would have washing machines. Rich people would have washing machines, but no one really had dryers because it's so hot down there. Typically, it averages about 90 degrees every day. It's constantly. It's also really humid, so it was just sweating was a normal part of your day. So, you know, I always wore really light clothing, like just a basic cotton T-shirt with a skirt, with a really flowy, comfortable skirt. That was my go-to for every day. And comfortable walking shoes, because we are a walking mission. We do take taxis. Sometimes depending on where you're at. If you're in the big cities, they have actual cars as taxis. In other places, they have what we call moto taxis, which it's like a little cart built on the front end of a motorcycle. So you have a motorcycle, you take off the front wheel, attach it to this little cart thing with 2 wheels on the sides and a cover on top, and they take you wherever you wanted to go on that moto taxi. Other moto taxis were more like little clown car shaped things, and there were other kind of taxis where it was like that moto taxi but a bike, and that's how people would work sometimes, and they'd get paid about 33 cents per person anywhere you wanted to go. Shopping, there are a lot. Most people do their big shopping in the markets, like what you'd think of as a street market. They sell fruits and vegetables. They sell rice, soap, beans, corn. Because that's the typical, diet: rice and beans, and they would grind up their own corn to make tortillas or anything else you wanted. So that's the typical for the average person, but the food is very flavorful and has a lot of variety if you get the other ingredients in. So other than going to markets, there are also some shopping centers such as Walmart, things like that. There is one Walmart, I think, in the capital, but there are other places that are called the Pali, which I think is owned by the Walmart company, is what I heard. There's also a place called La Colonia, which is a really nice place. It also sells American products that you really can't get anywhere else. And also, a lot of people, for working, a lot of people are self-employed in, like, they own taxis, for example, or they rent a taxi, or they sell things out of their homes. Like a lot of people will make tortillas and sell those, or they'll make soup and other food and sell that out of their homes. There are also little places called pulperias, which are little like corner stores that people just have out of their homes, and they'll sell really pretty much anything you want, just in the markets, but smaller. They also sell like little toys, candies, and treats and things. So you'd find at least one or two on every street. And so as you're walking around and you're ever thirsty, you can stop wherever. You're like, oh, look, there's the pulperia right there. You can always tell because it has lots of posters of different products that they have all over the front of their house and stuff. And so that was always really convenient. Let's see. Nicaragua, as far as crime goes, Nicaragua is actually very safe. It's the safest of the Central American countries. So when you think of, Central America, you think of all the, crazy shootings and gangs and all those crazy things like that. But it's not to say it doesn't happen in Nicaragua, but compared to, Guatemala and El Salvador, it's very safe. There were a lot of missionaries who did have some scary stories of, being robbed, or one was held up at gunpoint one time, but that very rarely happens, and all the missionaries, they're always, they're always well protected. We really do have angels watching over us. I was lucky enough to not have to go through anything like that, but it was always really cool to hear the stories of all my friends and the things that they experienced. But I was never too worried. The big thing that I always experienced as sisters and as elders experiences as well were people on the street catcalling. That was the biggest thing, especially from the men. The men who would sit and drink on the side of the road with their buddies, and they would just yell out things to us, and we just kind of ignore them. They don't actually do anything. They just kind of yell stuff to get our attention, but they don't really mean anything by it. And elders got that as well from some girls, but it was definitely a bigger problem for the sisters. As long as you don't get too close to them, you're always gonna be just fine.